Good evening, everyone. Thank you for those of you who just joined. We'll be getting started in just a few minutes, just so we can give everyone a chance to join. As a reminder, this meeting is being audio and visually recorded for those who are unable to join tonight. Okay, I see the waiting room has cleared, so we will go ahead and get started. Good evening, everyone. To start, my name is Billy Parent. I'm the moderator for tonight's meeting. We very much appreciate you joining us tonight. Tonight's meeting is to share information and receive feedback on the MBTA's Winchester Center Station Accessibility Improvements Project. Nathan Ray, the Senior Project Manager with the MBTA, will give the presentation. We ask that you please hold all comments and questions until the end of the presentation during the question and answer period. Next slide, please. So thank you again for being here tonight and for joining the meeting. We very much appreciate your participation. As a reminder and a notification, this meeting will be audio and visually recorded, and so that it can be shared with people who are unable to attend tonight. And next slide, please. Diversity and civil rights. All MBTA activities, including public meetings, are free of discrimination. The MBTA complies with all federal and state civil rights requirements, preventing discrimination on the basis of race, color, national origin, limited English proficiency, and additional protected characteristics. We welcome the diversity from across our entire service area. If you have any questions or concerns, please visit www.mbta.com/Title9VI to reach the Office of Diversity and Civil Rights. Next slide, please. Closed captions. Closed captioning is available for tonight's meeting. Please click the CC button at the bottom of your screen, as shown in the example on the right. You are also able to adjust the caption size by clicking the upward arrow next to the Start Video, Stop Video icon, then clicking Video Settings. Click Accessibility, and then move the slider accordingly to adjust the caption size. We have an ASL interpreter for tonight's meeting, Jamie. So thank you, Jamie, for supporting tonight's meeting. If you would like to view the ASL interpreter at all times, please keep your view settings in gallery mode. It should be the default setting. You can change this by clicking the button that says Gallery Mode in the top right of your screen. Gallery Mode shows all presenters on the screen together, and this ensures that you can see the interpreter as well as the speaker. The ASL interpreters will also be pinned for you to view during the presentation. Your screen will primarily display the slides, with the presenters and interpreters showing in the top right corner. You can pin the interpreter's video by clicking the ellipses in the top right corner of the interpreter's video and selecting Pin Video. Next slide, please. If you have technical questions regarding Zoom, please message Winchester Station Project Team, which is me, and type your question into the chat during or following the presentation so that I can assist you. If you have a question about the presentation, please also send those questions to Winchester Station Project Team for the Q&A period, which will go into more detail at the end of the presentation. At this time, I'd like to introduce Nathan Ray to continue the presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Billy. Welcome, everybody. So tonight we're going to be looking at giving you an update for the Winchester Center Commuter Rail Station. We're going to start with a project overview, what it is we're doing at Winchester Center, talk about our partial station opening, recent construction activity, some schedule impacts that we've had, and an update to the schedule, as well as upcoming construction activities and project contacts. Next slide, please. Well, for those of you who aren't familiar with the Winchester Center project, what is it, what we're doing there actually? So it's a full station reconstruction. There's two new fully accessible high-level side platforms with canopies. The former station was not accessible. There will be 3 new elevators, 2 new ramps, and 3 sets of covered stairs. There'll be new lighting, signage, and wayfinding, security cameras, and other amenities. In addition, we're upgrading the track infrastructure, new track, ties, ballast, bridge plates, and communication duct banks all through the station limits. And the total construction cost is $50 million. Next slide, please. Well, as most of you are aware, we partially opened the station last fall, October 1st, 2024. The partial opening included 2 new fully accessible high-level side platforms with canopies. Both platforms were open, basically the southern half of both platforms. So we're running a half a train length currently during the partial station opening. That partial opening also included 2 new elevators, 1 ramp, and 3 sets of covered stairs. In addition, the partial opening included new lighting, signage, wayfinding, security cameras, and other amenities. And all the track infrastructure is done and completed through the station limits. The estimated daily ridership for partial opening is about 150 on-offs, we call it, per day right now. So that's not close to we call pre-COVID ridership levels, but we hope that ridership will return to those levels eventually. So I'm going to talk about recent construction activity from this past fall and current winter. On the left there, you see the construction of the 3rd and final elevator shaft. This is the north elevator shaft behind Thompson Street. That shaft is completed, and there is assembly of the elevator cab going on right now at that elevator. Next, you see a picture of the inbound platform ramp and construction that's at Laraway Road. And then on the right, again, a picture in the similar area, but at the Quill Rotary. This was from last week, where if you live in Winchester, you were aware that we rerouted traffic around the downtown to put in the beams and the platform pieces over the rotary. And we're just excited to reach this part of the schedule. And because now we having all the platform sections in that final ramp, we can begin final assembly of the various activities required to fully open the station. Next slide. Again, there's a lot of activity going on around the Laraway Road ramp, the inbound ramp. There was a ramp there before, many of you probably remember. So we're returning a ramp there. There was structural members in place, and those all got encased in concrete. And then the ramp sections got installed recently. And then we come and fit out with guardrails and canopies and drainage, electrical and communications devices are installed. So there's a fair bit of work left to do. Next in the middle there, you see further work on the elevator shaft, the north elevator. This is behind Thompson Street at the Quill Rotary. And more concrete platform beam work at the inbound ramp. Next slide, please. So with all this work going on, when we partially opened the station, we were excited and eager that commuter rail service could return to Winchester Center. Our contractor focused their labor on partial station opening activities, all the activities associated at the south end of the station, which we opened up on October 1st. However, this resulted in some activities in the north half of the station, which involved final completion, falling behind schedule. And so many of these critical path activities to get to final completion for the station can only be performed during warmer temperatures. We can do things like install platform sections and even pour concrete, but there's some other finishing items, activities rather, that really have to wait until we have sustained warmer temperatures. Concrete finishing, for example, painting, sealants. These are all sorts of elements of final construction that really have to have sustained warmer temperatures, like I say. So that is some of the major impact that we've had at Winchester Center. Again, the reality also, in addition, is that we are building next to a live track where there is other work going on. There's continued maintenance work up and down the Lowell line. In addition to that, the neighboring route, the Haverhill line, has also had some maintenance work, and when that happens, they will route traffic down the Lowell line. So we're subject not only to maintenance and other project work on the Lowell line, but also on the neighboring Haverhill line. And so when you have more traffic going through the station limits, there's less access to the track, and so work slows down. We know we're in the business of working on next to live track, but there are competing projects continually happening at the MBTA, and we all have to kind of work together. So that was a major impact we've had to the schedule. Some of you may know we are installing mini high platforms at West Medford, and there's a fiber optic resiliency project going on throughout the station, throughout the network, commuter rail network, and so they're operating also in our area, which is also involves us kind of ceding track time to that project as well. So those are the schedule impacts that we've seen at Winchester Center in the past 6 to 8 months or so. Next slide, please. So we want to announce that Winchester Station is now scheduled to fully reopen in the spring of this year, spring 2025. And what do I mean by full station reopening? Well, we mean a full platform reopening of the north half of the station, both platforms, inbound and outbound. That one final third redundant elevator will be open. We'll be completing work on Laraway Road. And then what we call punch list or deficiency list work will be continuing after station opening. There's landscape work. And so final completion is really scheduled for the summer of this year. Just a note about the Laraway Road. We are repaving Laraway Road and restriping it. I know that in working closely with the town for years, that Laraway Road is very important to parking for all the residents and shoppers at Winchester Center. So, we're aware that this is an important piece to open up again, Laraway Road. So we are aiming for that for this spring. Next slide, please. So to meet that goal, I just want to talk a little bit about what we're doing for the rest of the winter and the spring. Having those platform pieces in is key, because now we can complete the remaining electrical work, plumbing work. We will be focusing obviously on the north end of the station at the Quill Rotary Laraway Road areas. The elevator is usually a very critical activity that in all construction projects that we do, we'll be building a staircase behind there as well, behind Thompson Street at the Rotary. Neighbors can expect the usual continued noise and construction activity, including heavy equipment and machinery in the area. We don't have any immediate plans for night work, but if we do, we will be going through the town requesting that and publishing all of that on our website and getting that out to the public ahead of time. So a little bit more kind of detailed what we're doing at each area of the project of the work site. At platform level, the panels, like I say, just went in last week and early this week. Canopy steel was going in today, as well as guardrails were going in on the inbound platform. All of the conduit that supplies power to the platform goes in underneath those newly installed platform pieces. And then lighting poles can be installed, communications equipment. This includes cameras and the scrolling electronic signs. And then, station signage can go in, benches, these sorts of things. So that's at platform level. And then behind Thompson Street at the Quill Rotary sections, there will be more plumbing. When I say plumbing, I'm referring to downspouts. All the downspouts feed into oil water separators where the storm water is cleaned and then released into the storm system. The elevator and stairs will be going on, continuing behind Thompson Street at the Rotary. There's some final remaining work of the Rotary Pier. There's some granite to be installed there. At the Laraway section, structural steel is going to be nearing completion. What's remaining is for the canopies, that steel. Also for the ramp and lighting and signage. As many of you know, we salvaged some of the stone from the former station, and we are cutting and piecing that salvaged stone back into the new station. So that work will be continuing as well. There's landscaping and irrigation that will be happening along Laraway Road at a planter there. And then, as I mentioned, the Laraway Road and sideway work will be happening in that area. And what we call punch list items or deficiency list items that are kind of cleanup of various items that have yet to be completed will be continuing on into the summer. Project contact information. If you would like to get hold of us, please send us an email or call the construction hotline. And then also we have our project website. And I'll give it back to Billy.
Thanks, Nathan. So for the question and answer session, I will go over the controls for engaging in the Q&A. So to make a comment, you must virtually raise your hand. To do this on the computer, press Alt-Y or click the Raise Hand button under the Participants tab at the bottom center of your screen. On a mobile device, tap the Raise Hand button in the bottom center of your screen, and on the phone, you can dial *9. Once you raise your hand, you'll be added to a queue with others who have also raised their hands. I will call on people on a first-come, first-served basis, and when it is your turn to speak, I will say your name or the last 4 digits of your phone number and let you know that I am unmuting you. If you are on a computer or mobile device, a box will pop up in the center of your screen. You will need to confirm that you'd like to be unmuted before you begin speaking. If you are on the phone, an automated recording will let you know that you are unmuted. You may speak as soon as the recording finishes. Once you are unmuted, everyone in the meeting can hear you. So before making your comment, please state your name and any organizational affiliation. And we ask that you please limit all comments to 2 minutes so that we can ensure that everyone gets a chance to speak. If you have additional comments, please raise your hand again. As soon as you are finished, you will then be muted again. You may also post comments in the chat, and we will document them as a part of this meeting, and also ask those questions and answer them here in this meeting as well. At this time, before we open the Q&A to the general public, we would like to provide the opportunity for any elected officials in the audience to speak. So if you're an elected official and you'd like to make remarks, we'd ask that you now raise your hand. Okay, so from what I can see, we do not have elected officials on the line, so I'll start with the first hand that I see. So David Anderson, I'm going to ask you to unmute. And you are unmuted.
Hi, my name is David Anderson. I've served on the working group committee for I think 13 years now. I have a question. I know going into the spring that some of the finishes will be applied, and I know this is a concern of mine going back some time. And my question is specifically about the finishes, the cleaning of the concrete of the concrete walls of the abutments under the at the Quill Rotary and also on Waterfield, and the painting of the existing steel bridges at those same locations. What provision is made for that? When will those be done? What are the paint colors?
Hi, David. Yeah,
Hi.
I obviously we've been working together for a few years. You're a great proponent of the station. The bridge paint is something that we looked at early on in design, and we ended up cutting it out. So there are no plans to paint the steel bridge, any of the bridges, Waterfield or Quill Rotary, or any of the bridges around this project. The abutments, I don't believe that we're painting those. I have Mark Thompson on the line. The scope there is, I believe, complete. If we may have, in addition to the not painting the bridges, also cut out you're talking about like kind of the concrete that's directly below the bridge by the sidewalks.
Yes, the rust stained concrete on both sides,
Right.
which will continue to be even more rust stained if the bridges are not painted.
Right. I think David, to my recollection, though, those were cut out, and they're not part of the scope of this project.
Wow, that's concerning. I mean, it's such a basic, fundamental aspect of finishing a project is, leaving the site clean rather than having the parts that are literally at ground level being um, looking as bad as they have ever looked. I mean, I think the rest of the station really looks great. I'm thrilled with the stone finish. Um, and as you know, there are a couple nitpicky things, but overall, I think I'm really pleased with how it looks. But I think the contrast to stained concrete and continuing rusting steel would be really a shame. Would really be a a black eye on the project. So I'm upset to hear that.
I understand, David. you know, we're trying to work within a budget and do all the things that we could do, and it ended up being something that was taken out of the scope. I understand what you're saying, and it's it, it's just one of the things that we had to choose, make a hard choice, what was gonna be in and what was gonna be out in terms of scope for this project.
Yeah, I understand that it's a difficult process all the way along. It's a difficult, complicated project, but that seems like really short money relative to the overall cost of the project. So I'm hoping that's something that might be revisited.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
You bet.
So I will now move to a question in the chat. So this question is from Alan Eden. And the question is, who will maintain the cleanliness of the glass in the elevator towers?
That's part of the scope of our operations. So in capital delivery, I'm in capital delivery, and we build the station and then we hand it over to our operations side, and they have contracts that they procure for various elements of snow clearing or cleaning of the station. So our operations department will take care of all those elements of cleaning, from trash to snow clearing, these sorts of things.
Thank you, Nathan, and thank you, Alan, for your question. And I'll now move to Carrie Sullivan. Carrie, I'll ask you to unmute.
Yes, I'm unmuted.
Great.
So I'm Carrie Sullivan. I live in Winchester, and I am also the president of the Boston chapter of the Hearing Loss Association of America. And I'm interested in hearing about the accommodations this new station and the trains will have for those with hearing loss. Just a quick point on that. So hearing loss affects about 13% of the US population, 2/3 of whom are in the workforce or younger. I would think key constituency for the MBTA. 98% of those people do not speak ASL. They speak spoken English. So things such as caption boards would be the primary way they would look to be accommodated. So can you please speak to how those with hearing loss will be accommodated at the new station and on the T trains?
Yes, Carrie, thank you. I don't know if you've had a chance to go up to the platforms at all in the partially open station. We do have rolling screening messages that are updated live. So if trains are approaching or late, there's a scrolling message that shows, any sort of live update to train arrival or departure. This is something that's standard at all T stations. And I'm trying to think of any other accommodations that we make for what you raised. But that's the major kind of element that we're including for those with who need the help that you mentioned. On the trains, well, I know there are some messages of the that flash digital screens that for the upcoming station that'll show you which station is next. So for the trains, that's that's what they have there.
Thank you, Nathan, and thank you, Carrie. I see your hand. You raised your hand, so um, I'll ask you to unmute. If you could just keep your follow-up fairly brief so we can um, also answer other questions coming in. Thank you. And Carrie, I've asked you to unmute.
I have nothing more to say,
Oh.
Nathan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving to questions in the chat. This question is from Charles M. And it is, in the summertime, will the station be shut down for days or weeks? Is there going to be a shuttle bus provided?
There's no current plan to shut the station down for days or weeks. No. Usually if there's something like that going on, it'll be for weekends. I think you may be referring to this past fall where there's some weekends where the whole low line was shut down and we provided busing. So when we do something like that, that was another project, but it was a project that affected Winchester Center. Busing is usually provided, shuttle busing to North Station or to Lowell and into the stations in between. One of the problems with Winchester that we work with the town on is the issue of parking. So these shuttle buses, sometimes what happened, and I think it happened at least one time last fall, is where we did not provide a shuttle bus at Winchester Center, but instead had provided it for Wedgemere. So we asked patrons to make their way to Wedgemere and catch a bus there, a shuttle bus there.
Thanks, Nathan, and thank you for the question, Charles. So the next question is from Christopher Sylvia. And the question is station construction currently impacting the frequency of the Lowell line train schedule? It would be particularly helpful for my trip patterns not to have a 90-minute gap in the weekday schedule for northbound departures at North Station between 8:45 and 10:15. I would like to request more evening train departures on the Lowell line, as well as ask about this project's impacts on the Lowell line schedule.
That's a really good question. Because of the various projects that are going on the Lowell line and the neighboring Haverhill line, sometimes what operations will do to help with the schedule of all those projects, because less trains means more access to the work for the workers. Sometimes what they'll do is institute what they call a construction schedule, where they will reduce train service midday. They will keep the rush hour service morning and evening, but they will reduce train service, what they call it, institute a construction schedule, where they will run, I think what you're seeing now, hourly service. I wasn't aware there was a 90-minute spread between trains, but the plan is to lift the construction schedule as soon as possible, when a lot of these projects, Winchester included, start to finish up.
Thanks, Nathan, and thanks, Christopher. Next, we have a question from Marianne DeBlasi. And the question is, when will Laraway Road be open and cars once again be able to drive and park on that street?
Yes, this is probably the biggest disruption to Winchester Center residents. I've heard it for a long time now, and I totally understand. I used to like parking on Laraway Road. So that is planned for the spring. We're aiming for May. If you saw the slide there, by the end of May that we would have full station opening, and the opening of Laraway Road would coincide with that. So the work on Laraway Road, we're going to, they call mill and pave it. We're going to take down the old asphalt, put in new asphalt, and then restripe the parking lines there. So you'll have a new road on Laraway there. So once again, the goal is for May of this year to have that open. And thank you for your patience.
Thank you very much, Mary Ann. Staying with the chat, I see no hands raised. So the next question in the chat, 2 questions from John Smith. And his questions are, what will the final cost of the station be? And how much over budget? And how many months was the contract originally anticipated for?
We are on budget. That $50 million figure that you saw there, we're on track to be on budget. The original station construction duration was 29 months. So we are 11 months over schedule right now. We were supposed to be done last February. Those who have been following the project are aware that we're late. We understand obviously that we're late, and we want to finish the project too. So we're working to get it done according to the schedule laid out here tonight. We believe the schedule is doable. Of course, there's always things in our control, but we believe that the plan that we have to complete the remaining activities is going to get us to the place we need to be for a spring opening.
Thank you, John, and thank you, Nathan. And seeing no hands and no additional questions in the chat, we certainly want to give ample time if people have questions. So we'll keep the meeting live for a few minutes just to make sure. But if there are no further questions, we will end up adjourning the meeting. So I'll give people just a few more moments. And Rachel, could you just put up the project contact information? We'll just share that once more so that everyone, thank you very much. So again, to reach us, the project email address, winchesterstation@mbta.com. The hotline phone number is 781-218-9717. And you can find more information online at mbta.com/Winchester Station. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great night. We are joining this meeting. Take care.
Thank you.